At the edge of the city stood a modest shop with a faded sign that read, Mnemosyne's Gifts. Most people passed by without a second glance, unaware of the unique service offered within. Those who entered were seekers, individuals yearning for something lost or unattainable. Amara was one such seeker. She pushed open the creaking door, a small bell announcing her arrival. The interior was quaint, lined with shelves holding an assortment of peculiar objects. Antique watches, sepia-toned photographs, and jars filled with indistinct substances. Behind the counter stood an elderly man with kind eyes. "Welcome," he said softly. "How may I assist you?" "I was told you could help me remember," Amara replied, clutching a worn piece of paper. "My grandmother passed away last month. She had dementia. Before she died, she often spoke of a childhood memory, a place she loved, but could no longer recall clearly. I want to experience it for her." The old man nodded knowingly. Memories are precious threads that weave our identity. Sharing them is a profound gift. He motioned for her to sit at a small table. "Place your hand here," he instructed, indicating a polished wooden box with intricate carvings. As she complied, he gently placed his hand over hers and closed his eyes. Amara felt a subtle warmth, and the room seemed to fade. Suddenly, she stood in a sun-drenched meadow filled with wildflowers swaying in a gentle breeze. Laughter echoed nearby. A young girl, her grandmother, ran through the field, chasing butterflies with carefree joy. Tears welled in Amara's eyes. She wasn't just observing, she was experiencing the memory as if it were her own. The scent of blooming flowers, the softness of the grass underfoot, the overwhelming happiness, all of it vivid and real. After a few moments, the vision dissipated, and she was back in the shop. The old man released her hand. "Thank you," she whispered, emotion thick in her voice. He smiled faintly. "Cherish it." As she left, a question lingered in her mind. How was such a thing possible? Word of Mnemosyne's gifts began to spread. People came from afar to recover lost memories, relive moments of joy, or understand the experiences of loved ones. The old man never advertised his methods, and no two accounts were the same. Some suspected advanced neurotechnology, others whispered of magic. One day, a stern-looking man in a suit entered the shop. "I'm Dr. Leonard Hayes," he announced, flashing a badge. "Neuroscientist with the National Research Institute." The old man regarded him calmly. "How may I assist you?" "We've received reports about your services. I'd like to understand the technology you're using. It could have significant applications in cognitive therapy and memory rehabilitation." The old man gestured for him to sit. "My methods are simple but not easily explained. They require a personal connection." Dr. Hayes scoffed lightly. "I'm interested in empirical data, not anecdotes." "Very well," the old man replied. "Place your hand on the box." Reluctantly, Hayes complied. As the old man covered his hand, Hayes prepared himself for a trick or illusion. But what he experienced defied all logic. He was transported to his childhood home, watching his younger self playing piano under his mother's watchful eye. He felt the keys beneath his fingers, heard the rich notes filling the room. Emotions he had long suppressed surfaced: joy, nostalgia, and an aching sense of loss. When he returned to the present, he was visibly shaken. "How did you access that memory?" "I haven't thought about it in decades." The old man met his gaze. "I didn't access anything. The memory was within you. I merely facilitated your journey." Hayes leaned forward, intensity in his eyes. "This ability, you could help countless people. Trauma victims, patients with degenerative diseases. You have a moral obligation to share this. The gift is not mine to give freely, the old man replied. It must be sought and received willingly. Mass replication would dilute its essence and potentially cause harm. Frustrated, Hayes stood up. With or without your cooperation, I will uncover your methods. Be careful, Dr. Hayes, the old man cautioned gently. Some things are not meant to be dissected. Over the following months, Hayes became obsessed. He assembled a team to study memory retrieval and simulation, pushing the boundaries of neuroscience. They developed devices that could project memories into vivid experiences, but the results were inconsistent. Some patients found relief, while others suffered psychological breakdowns, unable to distinguish between memory and reality. One night, exhausted and disillusioned, Hayes returned to Mnemosyne's gifts. You were right, he admitted quietly. We've caused more harm than good. I don't understand why. The old man nodded sympathetically. Memory is intertwined with identity. It's not merely data to be extracted or manipulated. Without the grounding of one's own experiences and the proper context, revisiting memories can unmoor the mind. Then how do you do it? Hayes implored. What's the secret? The old man paused before answering. Empathy. I do not impose or extract, I accompany. The journey is guided by a mutual understanding and respect for the sanctity of one's experiences. Hayes considered this. Is there a way for science to replicate that? Science and empathy are not mutually exclusive, the old man replied. But one must approach with humility and awareness of the ethical dimensions. Inspired yet humbled, Hayes decided to shift his approach. He refocused his research on patient-centered care, integrating psychological support with technological advancements. Progress was slower but more humane, and patients began showing genuine improvement. Years later, as Hayes prepared to retire, he visited the shop one final time. To his surprise, he found it empty, the sign gone, and the interior bare. As he stood there, a young woman approached. Are you looking for Mnemosyne's gifts? She asked. Yes, he replied. Do you know what happened to the proprietor? She smiled softly. He was my grandfather. He passed away last year. I'm sorry to hear that, Hayes said genuinely. He was a remarkable man. She nodded. He believed that memories are the bridges that connect us. He wanted people to cherish their own and honor those of others. Hayes felt a profound sense of gratitude. He taught me that. She looked at him thoughtfully. Perhaps his gift continues through those he touched. As Hayes walked away, he realized that the true legacy of the memory merchant was not in a secret method or technology, but in fostering a deeper understanding of the human experience. Memories were not just recordings of the past, but the threads that wove people together across time.